Prices are up, inflation is skyrocketing, interest rates are on the rise. Every time you go to buy a house, there's a line of 20 people out the door. But the Fed just announced that this could be the beginning of a recession. Is this like 2008? Are we looking at another bubble? There's a large majority of us that still have a bit of PTSD from 2008 and what led up to that and the aftermath afterward. So as this real estate market over the last several years continues to go absolutely bananas, it's leaving buyers and sellers wondering, can this last forever? Is a bubble on the way? And with the Fed announcing just a couple of weeks ago that this looks like the beginning of the next recession, a lot of people have started to panic. Well, I'm here to say it's not quite time to panic, and I don't honestly think that bubble's gonna burst anytime soon. So let's run through some data and statistics, because right now headlines are meant to terrify and not clarify for you. Today, I want to offer some clarification. Let's start with the very basic definition of a recession. According to CFI, the Corporate Finance Institute, a recession is a term used to signify a slowdown in general economic activity. It's recognized officially after 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth rates. So a recession could quite conceivably be for 6 months, and if GDP starts to grow again, you're out of it. Most of us have that 2008 nightmare of 5-6 years of serious issues. When we specifically relate a recession to the housing market, the term you often hear is a housing bubble. A housing bubble, when that bubble bursts, is when home prices suddenly plummet. Anyone with a pulse knows that housing prices are at record highs and seem to continually be going up. That's obviously not sustainable. However, what makes this different from 2008 is why the prices are going up. And that goes back to your basic economics 101, supply and demand. While this is not like 2008, the supply issue that we're dealing with is because of 2008. After the recession hit, new construction was decimated. You could drive around town and see whole subdivisions that were started and never completed because the money ran out. That lack of new construction led to the shortage we're seeing now. In Alachua County alone, we're currently sitting on 4 weeks of inventory. That's 1 month. If nobody else in our county decided to sell their property, we would be out of houses in 4 weeks for our buyers right now. Because of the increased demand that we're seeing and the true lack of supply that we're dealing with, I personally don't see prices dropping anytime soon. In the last couple of weeks, the Fed announced that this could be the beginning of a recession. As I said before, with inflation, interest rates, and prices going way up, there's no way we can sustain that forever. But when it comes to supply and demand, we've got to talk about stable markets versus buyer and seller markets. A buyer's market, you may recall, is when there is a surplus of inventory, generally over 4 to 6 months of inventory. When there's about 4 to 6 months of inventory, that's a stable market. Anything less than that is a seller's market. And we've been in a seller's market for the last 2 years at least. So interest rates are on the rise, inflation is very real, and prices are up. But this is an inventory issue. Until we start to see inventory hit 4 to 6 months nationwide, this market is gonna stay super hot. Because here's the bottom line. Inventory drives markets, whether you're talking about housing or any other industry. Supply and demand are the basic fundamentals. Until we, as an area, as a state, as a country, start seeing those supply levels increase, the pricing is still gonna stay super competitive because there's simply just not enough to meet the demand. So if you're a buyer or a seller, there are some definite conversations you need to have. Rental rates are up 17% over last year alone. So the best way to hedge against these price increases and inflation is to get into a house right now. It's not time to wait because it's gonna be a while and your rent is just gonna continue to skyrocket. If you're considering selling, this market is not sustainable. Nobody's got a crystal ball. Most people have a really good degree in what if, but the time to capitalize is now. There is demand, there is need, and there's a really great opportunity for you to sell at a high price and gain the maximum amount of equity. The people who wait are gonna be the people who may regret it. So if you've had any thoughts of selling, now is the time to have those conversations. And if you want some more information, check out my series on downsizing and upsizing so that you can make an educated decision. I'm Lindsey Johnson, your resource for all things real estate. See you next time.